The Faceless God, the one who is remembered through others. To be remembered is a gift not granted by chance, nor by virtue alone. It is taken, bargained for, or stolen. Among the remaining gods who did not abandon their thrones in year zero of the vacant thrones, none embody this truth more completely than the Faceless God. It has no true name, no fixed form, and no single story that can be agreed upon. The Faceless God is not worshipped for mercy, justice, or love. It is followed by those who desire to matter, whether as heroes, tyrants, martyrs, or monsters. Fame and infamy are equal offerings in its eyes, for both carve permanence into memory. Nature and paradox. Unlike other deities, the Faceless God does not seek devotion in temples or prayer. It feeds on recognition and notoriety. To be known is to nourish it. To be spoken of is to give it shape. To be remembered is to give it power. Because it has no face of its own, it must borrow the faces of others. Every follower becomes a mask. Every legend becomes a fragment of its identity. The god does not distinguish between glory and disgrace, only between obscurity and remembrance. Scholars note a grim irony. The Faceless God is omnipresent in history, yet absent from every portrait. Deals and devotion. Those who seek the Faceless God rarely do so openly. There is no formal clergy, no sanctioned rites. Instead, it answers moments of desperation. A general who would rather be cursed forever than forgotten. An artist willing to die young if their work endures. A criminal who wants their name whispered in fear for generations. A ruler who accepts ruin, provided history cannot ignore them. The Faceless God grants opportunity. It sharpens circumstances, tilts probability, and places its followers at the center of events where memory is forged. What follows in triumph, catastrophe, or martyrdom is irrelevant. The bargain is never fair. Followers gain heightened chance of notoriety, unnatural luck in pivotal moments, a sense of inevitability surrounding their actions. In return, the god claims their identity slowly eroded into myth, their face, symbolically or literally, their legacy, which no longer belongs to their souls. Many discover too late that they are remembered only in relation to the Faceless God's influence. Faces given, faces taken. Devotees often alter themselves with masks, scars, mirrored helms, erased names to reflect the god's nature. Some abandon their birth names entirely, allowing history to rename them through deeds alone. Legends speak of those whose faces were taken outright. Reflections that no longer appear in mirrors, portraits that blur or rot, witnesses unable to describe their features, only the actions taken. In extreme cases, the Faceless God wears its followers after death. Their stories become avatars and recurring archetypes that reappear across eras in different names but eerily similar deeds. The God that stayed. When many gods vacated their thrones in year 0 VT, the Faceless God remained. Some claim it could not leave, having nowhere to go without an identity of its own. Others believe it stayed because history itself became its domain once the gods withdrew. For as long as mortals crave legacy, the Faceless God will endure. Common sayings and beliefs. Better cursed forever than lost to silence. History remembers monsters longer than saints. The Faceless God does not save you. It makes sure you are seen. To wear a mask is to pray. The Ark of Borrowed Faces. A name is a door. A face is a key. Among the rarest gifts granted by the Faceless God is an artifact known only as an Ark. To call it a relic is misleading. The Ark is not a container of power, but a mechanism of remembrance. It exists to gather, refine, and preserve identity, but never for the benefit of its bearer, but always for the God that watches through it. An Ark appears as a massive golden globe, suspended unnaturally above the ground. Its surface is seamless and mirror bright, reflecting distorted images of all who approach it. Orbiting the sphere are several free-floating rings, each rotating at a different speed and angle, never colliding. The rings are carved with runes that are not of any single language. Each rune represents a former bearer of the Ark, etched not as a name, but as a record of deeds, victories, atrocities, betrayals, and sacrifices. Scholars who attempt translation report that the runes shift subtly when read aloud, altering details as if correcting the speaker's memory. As new deeds are performed in the Ark's name, fresh runes slowly emerge from the metal itself, pushing older inscriptions outward. The oldest rings are often so densely carved they resemble scars rather than writing. The Ark does not grant power directly. Instead, it anchors a mortal's legacy, ensuring their actions cannot be erased, forgotten, or rewritten by history alone. Wars, scandals, miracles, and massacres tied to an Ark-bearer are more likely to survive the erosion of time. In exchange, the Ark gradually strips the bearer of ownership over their own identity. Their name becomes inconsistent in records. Their faces are remembered differently. Their motivations are debated endlessly, never agreed upon. Eventually, the bearer becomes a symbol rather than a person, and that symbol belongs to the Faceless God. When a bearer dies, or when their story becomes complete, the Ark seals their identity into its rings, freeing itself to seek another. Rorschach, the Guardian Wolf. Bound eternally to the Ark is its guardian, Rorschach. Rorschach is a wolf with its skull stripped of flesh and fur, reduced to bare bone and sinew, yet still animated by purpose. Its skull is smooth and pale, devoid of expression, but not of presence. Empty eye sockets burn with a dull, reflective glow, like polished glass. It is said Rorschach has no true voice. Instead, it mimics. The voice of a long-dead mentor, the laughter of a childhood friend, the pleading of a forgotten lover, the command of a hated enemy. Rorschach will take on familiar forms when needed, but not as perfect illusions, but as interpretations. Like ink blots, what the bearer sees in Rorschach often reveals more about themselves than the guardian. Rorschach's duty is not to protect the bearer, it is to protect the transaction. The wolf tests potential claimants through riddles and reenactments of their past, encourages actions that will lead to notoriety. withholds truths while offering just enough guidance to ensure a memorable outcome. It may warn a bearer of danger or lead them directly into it. Both are valid provided the resulting story is strong, though in some cases it will act with violence to protect a claimant if they are close to achieving their goal. If a bearer attempts to abandon the Ark, erase their legacy, or act in a way that would diminish remembrance, Rorschach becomes hostile. Witnesses report that in such moments, the wolf speaks in every voice the bearer fears being forgotten by. The Final Trial. Legend holds that every Ark bearer must face a final judgment known as the Naming. At some point, often near death, Rorschach will ask a single question: how should you be remembered? Whatever answer is given, true or false, becomes permanent. The Ark etches the final runes, sealing the bearer's identity into history. After this, their face may no longer appear in dreams, mirrors, or divine visions, claimed fully by the Faceless God. Common beliefs and warnings. If the Ark turns toward you, history already knows your name. Never trust the false voices. The wolf does not lie, it reframes. Recovered from the marginalia of Brother Halvek, archivist of the Ninth Vault, Drakenwood University. Ink analysis dates the writing to 3 days before his disappearance. I thought the silence would be empty. Instead, it was watching me. The Ark announced itself before I saw it, but not with sound, but with weight. The air grew thick, like a memory pressing against the chest. When the golden globe came into view, suspended above the stone floor, its rings turning without rhythm, I felt the terrible certainty that it already knew my name. Then the wolf stepped out from behind it. Rorschach. A coat of black fur and no flesh on its face, just bone and the suggestion of muscle, held together by something that was not anatomy. Its skull was smooth, almost polished, like it had been handled by countless hands. The eye sockets reflected me, though there was nothing inside them. I did not hear it walk. I only realized it was closer. Halvek, it said. It used my mother's voice. I dropped my lantern. The sound echoed far longer than it should have. The wolf tilted its head, not in curiosity, but in assessment, like a scribe deciding where a sentence truly begins. You shouldn't be here, it continued, now in the voice of Prior Mercenet, the man who taught me letters and later burned half my work for heresy. But you never listened well. I demanded it tell me what it was. Rorschach laughed. It was my own laugh, the one I make when I know I am wrong but proceed anyways. I am what you expect, it said, and stepped closer. As it moved, the Ark's rings slowed. I could see the runes more clearly, then the names reduced to actions, lives compressed into a handful of moments. None of them were whole, all of them were permanent. Rorschach circled me. With every step, it changed. For a heartbeat, it walked like my brother, who died nameless in a border skirmish history never recorded. Then it spoke with the voice of the crowd I once imagined applauding my discoveries. Then, with the whisper I hear at night, asking if any of this will matter. Do you want to be remembered as a thief of knowledge? It asked gently. Or a martyr? I told it I only wanted to understand. The wolf stopped. For the first time, it did not speak immediately. When it did, the voice was unfamiliar, flat, distant, and immense. Then you will be remembered incorrectly. The ark's surface rippled, and for a moment I saw myself reflected there not as I am, but as I could be. My face blurred. My name slipped away from my thoughts like water through fingers. Rorschach leaned close. I could smell nothing. No rot, no death, only cold stone and old metal. "You may leave," it said, now in my own voice again. "But you will write about this. You cannot help it. Then quill shall meld to your hand until it is done." I asked what would happen if I didn't. The bone was cold as it said nothing, but I felt the answer it was trying to convey. I do not remember walking out of the vault. I do remember. Verily I see it now as I write this. The ark's rings beginning to turn again, slowly at first, then with purpose, as if making space for something new. For someone who has not yet decided how they wish to be remembered.